Welcome. My name is Dr. Liz Selzer, and today I have the privilege of interviewing 3 leaders at Nix schools. They are ones that are very much a big part of the Mentoring Connection that we've been doing, and so I wanted to talk with them so that you could hear their input into the whole project. I want to let you know who I'm sitting here with. First, it's Pete Simoneau. He has his Master's in Education in Guidance and Counseling and also a Master's in Education in Administration and Supervision. He originally started, he did a lot of things, but in the teacher category, he taught Spanish and Geography and Experiential Education at the Pike School. Then he was a guidance counselor at like 3 different places. And then he went to Bandung Alliance International School for Nix, where he was a teacher and principal. Then he went to Fairbanks, took a little breather back to the freezing, and was the assistant principal at North Star Borough School District up there. And now he is currently the director at Bandung Alliance International School. So welcome, Pete.
Welcome.
Okay. Next is Scott Frost. He actually comes from the business world to us. He has his master's in business administration, and he has worked for Humana, an investment company. He's worked for a lot of different things, and one of your responsibilities at the investment capital firm was that he worked with over 5,000 private and Christian schools that were located in all 50 states. So you had your feet wet in the educational system there. You started off with Nix as the interim director down in La Paz, Bolivia, and now you are the permanent one down. Well, I shouldn't say permanent. You're never leaving again. Okay, and you are going back to school right now to get your master's in educational administration. Yeah. And then finally, I have Steve Stark. Steve Stark is the vice president of school affairs for the Network of International Christian Schools. Steve and his wife Rhonda have been serving with Nix for 20 years. 2 of their 3 children are Nix graduates from the Nix schools in Bangkok and Singapore. Steve has served as head of school for Nix in both Bangkok and Singapore. He also served as the organization's Asia Regional Director. 11 years ago, Steve moved his family to Memphis, which was quite a shock from all the other places he's been to, where Nix is currently headquartered. And he took on a newly created position at that time of Vice President of School Affairs. In his role, Steve functions somewhat as a superintendent of school, and his office providing primary oversight, but more importantly, as a support to the 21 Nix schools around the globe. So first, because we're talking about mentoring, I just want to get just kind of a brief background of your mentoring experiences. So Pete, what have you thought about mentoring in the past?
Sure. I really had 3 significant individuals who invested in my life. When I was a teenager, my scoutmaster spent a lot of time, especially grooming me for leadership as I advanced through the ranks. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I really appreciated and understood how much time he committed not only to me but to the group each week, and then for weekends and a lot of special activities and camping trips. And then professionally, I had a principal who, when I was assistant principal, really for 3 years, showed me so many more responsibilities than what I was doing in my job. I get to really explore the principal role and get to be a representative for our large high school at district events and even at national conferences. And she really took the time each week to pull me aside and really mentor and sponsor me as well. And spiritually just been blessed the last 10, 15 years with people who really took the time for a short period of time to really speak into my life and sharpen me up as a Christian man. So spiritually, professionally, and personally, been really blessed.
And I love that you broke it into those 3 categories, because people sometimes they get this impression that mentoring is this one thing, and it really can look like a lot of different things. Yeah. Scott, how about you?
Yeah. I had one individual that really comes to mind that really kind of made an impression on me as far as the importance of mentoring and really investing in me. I want to be that type of person that also invests. And it was actually right out of college, university, my first job. I was in a kind of a management training program, but I had a supervisor who was actually head of the whole company that basically kind of took me under his wing and basically would sit down with me and not just kind of walk me through how he made decisions, why he made decisions, but really to try to invest in me, to kind of teach me kind of the behind the scenes, why you do what you do, how do you go about making decisions, and it really showed that this was an individual that wasn't just concerned on what he could get out of me or me doing my job, but truly cared about me as an individual and investing in me professionally to try to help me with my career, and it really meant a lot to me and stuck with me.
You know, and I like the theme of both of the stories that you guys told, is that you know, mentoring is critical. They use that relational aspect where they really care and they kind of go above and beyond. But then you also mentioned that how much more quickly you learned things that way, because they took the time to really pay attention to you personally as individuals and care about you. So Steve, what about you? What has been your experience in mentoring?
Well, at the professional level, I don't know if you'd call this so much specific mentor, but it was my first principal as a teacher, straight out of college, and you know, his job is to supervise, but I look back on a lot of things that he did in his interactions with me and that I've kind of carried forward, and one of those is it's a very professional individual, but at the same time willing to sit down behind closed doors and listen to ideas. I'm the type of person that will roll out 1,000 marbles of ideas on the table, and I'm sure he got tired sometimes of my knocking on his door with all my ideas, especially as a brand new teacher. But he would sit down and listen. And he would actually take some of those ideas and let me run with them. He would actually take some of those ideas and bring them up in a faculty meeting to other people. And so I began to understand he actually would listen to me. And he would actually let me step out and do things, even if I'm not sure sometimes he thought I would succeed, but he was willing to let me fail to learn.
When he had your back, I mean, you know, he allowed you to make those calculated risks or those careful risks, which I think is really good.
And the trust part of it too is to step out there as well, because there was one project that I came up with one time. I didn't even know if I could pull it off, but he was willing to trust me to do it, and it was very successful, not because of me, but because of the team at the school. That he then took to our school superintendent, and they then implemented this program throughout the county. And you know, as a young teacher, you have somebody that's investing time like that in you, even though they're your supervisor and you're not really looking at them as the mentor. You know, that meant a lot. And it taught me a lot about trying to just listen to people, give them a chance, let them fail when they need to, and take that small idea and let them run with it.
Yeah, I love that. I love these stories about mentoring because they're all different, but they all have really neat aspects of learning and caring and helping people really feel valued as human beings. And I know that's something that's really important in a lot of the stuff that I do when I talk about mentoring to people. So you called me and brought me in as a mentoring expert into Nix, and it came from a very genuine place of passion, of wanting to value staff, of wanting to help staff be developed through Nix and all of that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how all of this started?
Okay. Well, it actually started with Joe Hale, our president, Dennis Luger, our senior vice president, and myself. Unbeknownst to the three of us, we each were kind of thinking along some type of line of mentoring. And we each kind of had our ideas of what that might look like in some form or fashion. But for me personally, it really is a passion to want to see our people to be able to connect. Because as you live overseas, as these guys know, and they know from leading schools, people have got to be able to connect to the culture that they are now engaged in. They've got to be able to connect to the culture of the school, the culture of the community they're in, their parents, their students. And that connectivity can be a daunting task to try to manage. And as I began to think about that, in conjunction with a passion for wanting to see emerging leaders within our organization to come up through the ranks, and to do this in a purposeful way. And so mentoring was just the connecting point for me. That's the thing that could make it happen. Because you look back and I think about different stories I'd hear about people who had gone through actual mentoring programs, if you will. And I began to do some research on that. And that's how I found out about you and reading your book and other books on mentoring. And I thought, this is the direction we've got to go. This is what's going to bring all of this together. This is where we're going to train up young, new, inspiring leaders. This is how we're going to get people that may be struggling on the field to not have to struggle so much. This is how people are going to feel valued and be able to reciprocate that and then pass it forward, if you will, to the next person.
Thank you. And that was great that you took that step forward and really decided, okay, we're going to go do this. So then you recruited these two guys who kindly decided that they would be willing to do a pilot program. And, you know, we wanted to make sure, because Nix is very unique and there's a lot of unique needs that Nix has, and certainly with 21 schools, each school is going to look different in how they roll out their mentoring initiative throughout their school and their staff. But you guys were willing to take on that pilot thing, had great attitudes, loved that, and how awesome you guys have been and so positive about this. So, Pete, I'm going to start with you. Okay. Through the pilot time, what has gone well, and then if you can tell me kind of what challenges you've encountered.
What's gone well is we live in a city of 3 million, but there's probably only about 400 to 500 expats, expatriates, foreigners, and where we are outside of Bandung, we're very much in a fishbowl. So loneliness is an issue with our staff, and not feeling connected with